Hey you guys, I'm AJ with Eyes on Jesus, and in today's exciting video I am going to talk about enemas. Enemas have been life-saving for me and many of my friends. They are a way to get rid of symptoms of detoxing and cleansing and to feel good. The colon is connected to the brain, and getting it clear can alleviate all sorts of symptoms. It can really help with healing. If you want to learn more about coffee enemas specifically, that is from Gerson Therapy, so I would recommend watching my Gerson Therapy video, Adapted Gerson Therapy, that I just posted, and I go into actually a lot of details even with the enema stuff there. So in this one, I'm going to talk about methods and techniques and anything else that comes to mind to share about enemas. My story with enemas is that I didn't do them for most of my life. I didn't find any reason to. I could go to the bathroom fine. And when I started doing a health journey, I had people saying, don't do them, different myths about becoming dependent on them. I have not met anyone who's become dependent on them, and I have a friend who is deeply involved in the Gerson community, and she's like, I've never met anyone who became dependent on them. Now, there were people who had things going on prior that they relied on the enemas, but it was not because of doing enemas that they became dependent on them. In fact, the muscle usage to hold on to enemas strengthens the muscles down in that area. And I found, when I did enemas every day, coffee enemas every day for 9 months. So I did a process where I did all sorts of regular enemas and then a coffee enema every day for 9 months, and then after that I continued cleansing and enemas, maybe every other day or a couple times a week. Like, it got less and less, but while I was doing it, I never had a problem going to the bathroom. If I skipped my enemas, I didn't go to the bathroom right away, but you know why? Because my colon was cleaned out. So I didn't have to, there wasn't anything that needed to come through. And so I found that, as I ate meals and there was more fiber to come through, it was like things started to fill the colon, and then, okay, it's time to come out. I did not have any problem going to the bathroom. I had other people, I did an enemas group, I made my own, and, I had people in the group saying, oh, what if I can't go to the bathroom after the enemas? And they were like, oh, I think, maybe it affected my ability to go to the bathroom. And then it was like a couple, I don't know, it was like a day or two or however long it took stuff to build up in their colon. And then they're like, okay, now I'm going to the bathroom just fine. Like, it was just, because they were cleaned out, they didn't have to go. So I've never met anyone who's become dependent upon them. I didn't become dependent on them. I just found great benefit from using them. And so, yeah, they were life-saving in that they helped get toxins out of the body. People who have gone through cleansing and detox as a part of the healing have found, sometimes there can be symptoms related to a lot of toxins getting pushed through, or different parasites or pathogens getting killed off and releasing stuff. Maybe, toxic mold or different exposures. Maybe there's sort of a buildup of toxins that results in symptoms. And doing enemas, that's, specifically for me, coffee enemas were the greatest. But the other enemas, still can help just get toxins out, move toxins out. Now, eating a raw food diet naturally moves things through because it's a lot of fiber. It's, fiber is a nice little brush for the body to move the toxins through. So that's wonderful. I specifically use the enemas in conjunction with cleansing and detoxing. I don't have a problem going to the bathroom, but I do find that enemas can get rid of symptoms. I have friends who have been experiencing different symptoms, and I've encouraged them, try a coffee enema, and it was like they sort of built up to a coffee enema with doing a plain enema first, and they're like, hey, it wasn't that bad, and actually I feel a lot better. You know, I have some friends who've been using them for a lot of their lives and been able to just get rid of symptoms by doing an enema. So they are very wonderful, and I actually thought, you know, the first time I tried an enema, I was like, this is really not going to be comfortable, because I did a position that I saw on the box for doing an enema, and I was like, this is not fun. I did not enjoy it. And that was before I started my healing. That was like a couple of years earlier. And I thought, if that's what an enema is like, I don't ever want to do another enema. But then I, you know, met my friend who had done so much Gerson therapy to heal so much. Like, she got out of a wheelchair, and it was like cancer type stuff that, you know, went away as she did the coffee enemas, the Gerson protocol. But she told me about how the enemas had become like a really cherished time for her, because it was her time with God. It was just a time to heal and relax and feel better. And, you know, I kind of laughed. I was like, are you kidding me? But I found the same thing, you know, because it felt so good. And it was actually quite relaxing, because I learned you don't have to stick your butt up in the air and do that uncomfortable position. You can lie down on your side. And I was actually very relaxed, and just, you know, I used a little massager on my face, and, you know, sometimes I put my essential oil diffuser near me, so I was breathing that in and just very relaxed and enjoying myself. I put on music that made it fun and made it, you know, ministered. I received a ministry from God during that time. So it ended up being a very cherished time for me, even though it did take some time, because I chose to, you know, I chose to hold on to the enemas as long as possible to sort of hydrate my body and get as much out of them as possible. I'm like, if I'm going to set this stuff up, I'm going to get the most out of it as I possibly can. Now, there's other people who don't have all that time in the day because they have a job or whatever. I'm just like, I'm going to do a quick process, and that works too. Or like we're traveling, and, you know, I got to get something out because I need to get rid of some symptoms, and do a quick enema, and then just feeling a ton better. You know, I have one friend who really notes the mental clarity and the spiritual connection to God after doing an enema, and just like, oh, I'm just like so much more connected to God, and I can hear so much better, and because it's getting the blockage out of the colon, which is connected to the brain, you know. And, you know, all forms of detox are really great for clearing out the pineal gland, and that's like used for spiritual connection. It can be used like for spiritual connections that are not so great, but it's also like, you know, I'm constantly praying, you know, cancel any assignments against my pineal gland, and it's just naturally cleansing. Just all the detox stuff naturally cleans it out and increases spiritual sensitivity and connection to God. So here we are detoxing through enemas, and we're, you know, cleansing that as well. And so just everything is so much improved with detox, but enemas are just one of the best. So basically I will explain how the method that I use. Now, for my enema process, I always wanted to use some kind of probiotic in my enema mix, because probiotics add good gut bacteria to the gut, and that is what makes, you know, keeps things moving, gets rid of the bad gut bacteria. And so first of all, I was eating probiotics, so I was eating raw, like Trader Joe's or Sonoma Brinery, their raw sauerkraut, you know, like maybe a half container, a whole container per day during my intense cleansing. And now I just eat it here and there as, you know, as I feel led. But it's really great for probiotics, for building that up so that we don't have a problem with elimination, so that we can get rid of the pathogens that might be interfering, you know, or causing constipation or anything like that. So getting probiotics in through the diet, and you can also use probiotics, which I've used like Primal Defense, and some people use VSL3, which is like really heavy probiotic, but you know, or rotating through different, like Renew Life or different probiotics to get different kinds. But the sauerkraut is like so much better than even like a probiotic itself. It's like humongous. So eating that is helpful. Now, with doing enemas, because it's sort of washing stuff out, it can wash out the good stuff that we want in there. And so that is why it's very, you know, something that I always try and do is add probiotics to my enema mix. So I would save my sauerkraut juice. I've also used apple cider vinegar. Those are both great sources of probiotics. I mean, it's not like absolutely necessary. I know people who do just plain water enemas. Some people do Himalayan sea salt in water. That also has minerals, and so that's another option. I know there, one person that I knew was sort of getting symptoms from getting low on minerals or electrolytes from doing coffee enemas, and started adding in Himalayan sea salt. It was like, oh, the symptoms went away. So it's like basically if stuff gets washed out, it's really a good idea to replenish. So I just try and replenish from the outset by putting it in my enema mix. Now you can see behind me I have this bucket. This is an 8-cup bucket, and when you're ordering these, I ordered it, from Amazon, or there's a lot of places you can order stuff. I don't necessarily always like Amazon spiritually, but you can find a place to order enema stuff. The Gerson, site has enema stuff. There's a glass enema one. I can't remember the name of it. It was like Omatic something, but depending on, the glass one, if you don't want to get metal, if you're very concerned about any metal or nickel or anything on coming in through the enemas. But there's like plastic buckets or plastic bags. This one is an enema kit. And so this is the 8 cups. And then also in my kit, it came with some extra supplies. Like it's got a bag in here, and it's got like a douche thing, because you can do like enemas into your female area as well. This is like an extra bag. So it's a cute little kit, but it's got everything that you need. Now I did order for a friend a bucket, and it looked the same, but they were telling me they had to keep refilling it. And when I finally saw it, I'm like, oh, their bucket was like, it looked like this, but you couldn't tell the size on the picture, and it was only 1 cup, which is not helpful for doing enemas. I'm like, I mean, you can do it with a 1 cup bucket, but this is 8 cups. This is really wonderful. So basically, what I would do for my enema process is I would do 2 sets. First, I would do my regular enemas, and then I would do my coffee enema. And the point of, for me, doing the regular enemas first was just to clean out the colon and get everything out of there so that I could hold on to my coffee enema for 15 minutes, which is the time that it's recommended for Gerson therapy, 15 minutes, then expel. So I had times starting out at first where I wasn't able to hold on to the enema, and then I was kind of wasted, and I was like, oh man, all that work, all that preparation, and I just wasted it. So I became I definitely wanted to make sure to do the cleaning out enemas first. So the process would be like, go to the bathroom, get anything out that needs to be pooped out, and then do the first enema bucket. So I would fill this almost to the top, and the main component would be warm water. And for warm water, I have I bought a hot pot, and so this plugs into the wall, and then you just put the purified water in and click down, turn it on, and then when it's done, it turns off, the light turns off. So it's a great way to heat up water. I really like it because that way I could use purified water. We used a Berkey filter, or some people like to use distilled water, but something purified, and then heat it up, and then it's ready. I liked it better because we weren't using a stove at the time, and it's very handy. You can use it anywhere, like plug it in a bedroom or a hotel room or whatever, and there's the hot water. So I would go ahead and heat up my hot water, which is the main ingredient in the enema bucket, and then I would put in some form of probiotics, so either the sauerkraut juice or the apple cider vinegar. I could put in as much sauerkraut juice as I had available. The apple cider vinegar I would limit to like a tablespoon, because it's very strong, and it made it a lot harder to hold on to the enema. And it was really good for getting stuff out though. So the water, then some form of probiotic, and then whatever else I wanted to put in there. Like I just kind of asked God, like, what's this enema going to be today? And we just had all sorts of wonderful concoctions for the cleaning out enema, because like whatever goes into my mouth is safe to go into my enema. Like the colon is very absorptive, it can get nutrients, and if I'm holding the enema for a long time, I'm just going to let it, you know, sit there, get hydrated with my purified water, take in some extra nutrition or whatever, and make the most out of my enema time. So I've boosted my enemas with all sorts of stuff. I've used liposomal vitamin C, which is sort of a gel form, and pink Himalayan sea salt, coconut water, juiced barley grass powder, different herbs like healing herbs or detox herbs, essential oils, sometimes oregano oil, which is very powerful, so I'd only put like 1 drop of it in there. I've put in iodine, that's another very powerful enema. I've put in grape juice, which is very cleansing as well, even, you know, just for drinking. But, you know, anything, you know, some people do lemon juice. It's really open, that you could look online for what to put in an enema, but basically the main ingredient is water, and then whatever you feel led to put in there. So for my first one, I fill it up almost all the way, like I said, and get my water heating. And if, for instance, I was doing herbs in it, like the herbal teas, healing teas, you know, I'd put my herbs into the little tea leaf grasper with the handle, pour the hot water in and let it soak for 20 minutes, and then when it was then I would go upstairs and set up my enema stuff in the bathroom, and then by the time I was finished and, you know, did any other preparation work, like if it was cold, maybe put a little space heater in the bathroom to heat up my feet or something. But by the time everything was set up, it was generally, you know, long enough that I could go ahead and get my my tea, you know, take out the thing that was holding the leaves, and then I'd have this nice herbal tea and add in sauerkraut juice and whatever else. So then my bucket's full. I take it to the bathroom and set it on a counter. This is representing my bathroom counter. I'm in my room here. There's a shared bathroom here, so you're just going to see it in my room. But I'd set it on the counter, and this is the tubing that goes to it, and then this is the little, you know, I don't know what it's called, that goes in your butt. And so this would generally, I would keep it in white vinegar in between, just like in a plastic bag. Make like maybe a double plastic baggie so that it doesn't leak. But just put white vinegar in. And so after I wash this with, you know, you can wash it with vinegar or wash it with, I'd use Castile soap a lot of times, you know, wash out the enema thing with vinegar or this Castile soap or whatever you choose to use for it, and let it go down the tubing and wash this by hand. Then when this was washed, then I would put it into my little baggie with the white vinegar and just let it soak. So when I go to do my enema, I've got my bucket, and the tubing stays on it. This I kept in a little plastic bag, so I just go ahead and grab this, and a lot of times I just go ahead and wash it again when I take it out. It's not necessary though. And then plug it in. So this is ready to go. Now this little trick that I learned is when the enema tubing, when this is full of water and it's in its position, the liquid, you know, likes to come out. So very important, before putting the liquid in, make sure the clamp is tightened. Okay, this is a brand new one. Okay, so this clamp only has one clip, like one spot. A lot of the clamps that I've used, it's got like 2 or 3, so you can slowly tighten to a different one. But as long as, you know, just make sure the clamp is done so that when you're putting the liquid in here, it doesn't just go out your tubing. Okay, so the clamp is done. I'm putting my liquid in there. Wash this, got this attached. Now when I take it up to the bathroom, or wherever my bathroom is, so the liquid likes to come out. Definitely we have this clamped, but in between, let's say when I get to that point, when I get the liquid going into my butt, and I'm laying on the ground, so I want to go ahead and put this tubing up so that it doesn't keep having liquid come out of it and make a mess. So I found that I can use like a little hair clip. I mean, you can kind of see the clips that are in my hair. I use a bigger one, which I don't have on hand at the moment. But just go ahead and use my hair clip to clip it right here. Because if this applicator, or whatever it's called, is higher than like where the liquid comes out, it doesn't drip. So I found this to be very helpful because I didn't want my enema stuff dripping on me while I was lying there. So I'll get my stuff in there, clamp, make sure this is clamped before putting the stuff in, and then clip it up there, and then take it to the bathroom. So then my setup in the bathroom. So I'm in my room at the moment, and behind me I have, these are like outdoor patio padding, so it's probably like a little bit water resistant, but I usually would use one that has like a vinyl that's just sort of plastic, just the liquid just wipes off. Or for most of my enema time, I just had a bathroom mat that had thick padding on it to make it really soft, because the bathroom floors are often hard and it wasn't that comfortable for me to lie on a hard floor. So that bathroom mat was just very thick and nice, and I actually was quite comfortable on it. And so whatever kind of padding you use, I'm going to demonstrate with this outdoor pad. So let's say I'm using this outdoor pad to lie on. I've got two of them here. Maybe if it is not waterproof, what you can do is just buy a cheap shower curtain. Like you can buy a 99-cent shower curtain or use an old one and just lay it down to prevent any liquid from going into your mat. Now what I did was I sort of I didn't want to mess anywhere, so I was in my bathroom, like between, I was in a very small bathroom, so I was like in between the toilet and the cabinet and the shower. So I had my shower curtain, and it kind of went up around the base of everything, and I had this nice little bucket sort of a shower curtain that kept all the liquid down in there. And also for much of the time I used a like a disposable pad. You can, sometimes people use them in nursing homes for people who wet the bed, but it's to absorb liquid, so you can put the disposable pad on there to catch anything that might drip. But that is the setup for lying down. I'm just going to pretend I've got a pad there. But I could have something soft and then some stuff to collect anything that might drip so I don't make a mess. I know some people who use towels. Some people use different types of padding. Some people use like a pillow to, cushion their back or whatever. There's, whatever you can do to make it comfortable is fine. So, with my Enema Bucket, I am going to be lying on the ground, so I want to make sure this is accessible to me, and so that I can clip it once I get my stuff in. I also want to make sure this is accessible to my hand when I'm lying down, so you just position this at a place on the tubing that works for you. So there's some different positions that you can do for enemas. The one that I really do not like, that I did my first time doing an enema, was sticking my butt up in the air like this. And that's a picture that you can see on enema kits or whatever. Now I have used that sometimes when maybe I have just eaten a meal or pretty close to it. And the more, food or liquid that is in me, the more I have to use my muscles to hold on to the enema. So basically if I do my enemas first thing in the day, there's no food in my stomach, it's pretty easy to hold on to them. if I've just had like a big smoothie or something, I might use this position to help me hold on to the enema. So I'd be like, okay, let's get it in there. And, you know, because it takes the pressure off the, you know, trying to hold it right here, and just kind of makes the liquid go down this way a little bit, so that it's not so hard to hold. And I've also used this, like if I had apple cider vinegar and I put too much in there and I was like, whoa, this is really hard to hold, I might get in this position. So you can also make this comfortable. You know, if you've got padding or a pillow or something, you can just kind of rest your head, and it can be comfortable enough. I mean, I definitely wouldn't spend a long time in that position, but that's one way to sort of get the fluid in and keep it down, and it works. Now, another way that I have used a lot for longer enemas, if I'm going to hold on to it, let's say if it's got herbs in it, that's one of the times that I really want to hold on to it and let the herbs do their work. Coffee enemas, you know, they get held for 15 minutes. Oh, I forgot to say, so when I'm doing this bucket first, it's to clean house. And so I've gone to the bathroom, pooped out anything that needs to be pooped out. So I do my first one, and I'm just going to hold on to it as long as I can and then go to the bathroom. My first one was generally anywhere from like 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how full I was and like how easy or hard it was to hold on to the enema. So it was like, it's okay if I can't hold on to it very long because I'm just getting stuff out. So my first one would be like 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. My second one, I could generally, and so basically I would let the water, liquid go in, you know, sort of open up the latch, the clamp, and you can squeeze the clamp to sort of slow down what is coming out, so it doesn't have to come out really fast. Like if it's wide open, it might be really fast. You can also get like a roller clamp, which is, you know, it sort of rolls and adjusts better, but there's different clamps that you can get. But anyway, if it's open, it'll come out really fast. So it was much better to sort of hold on to the clamp as it's coming out and just let it get released slowly. And then when I got to a point where it was like, okay, that's enough, I don't know if I'll be able to hold on to it anymore, then at that point, clamp. This one needs a little help. Okay, clamp. And then I'll go ahead and clip the tubing back up here, and then relax and hold it as long as possible. 1 minute, 2 minutes, okay. Go release it, get up, go get on the toilet, get all cleaned up, and do my next one. My next one, I would probably be able to hold on to more fluid and hold on to it longer. So maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, depending on how much time I have. You know, I mean, you could just do it for a couple minutes each time, just flush everything out. And, you know, the bucket, so I might go like, okay, I go from top of the bucket to like right here. And my next one, I go down to like right here. My next one, okay, it's all empty. And a trick with the bucket is there's usually a little bit of liquid underneath the tubing area. So if you want to make sure to get every last drop, you can sort of lift up the bucket and tilt it. Make sure everything comes out. Or, and another thing is if you're putting a lot of ingredients in there, sometimes like I would take a big spoon and just sort of stir things in between enemas. Like we'll finish going to the bathroom, like, okay, let me stir my enema and or my liquid and make sure everything's kind of mixed in there, so I don't get a bunch of heavy stuff in one enema and like nothing in the other. So just kind of keeping it balanced. But I would go till this one is done, and then when I'm done with this bucket, like, okay, let's go downstairs and put in the coffee. And so my coffee enemas, I use this Cafe Mom. You can also, so I order this. It's Therapy Roast. It's organic coffee, so you want to get like organic medium roast. If you're buying it at the store, you can order from Cafe Mom. I think that's where Gerson uses. You can order Enema coffee, but you know, when I'm using my hot pot, so I made my my tea or whatever else. Like if I'm not making tea or something, I just put some warm water in here and just fill my bucket up. But if I'm like waiting on tea, I might have a glass jar or whatever I'm heating my tea up in and my coffee up in. And so the coffee, I would use 3 tablespoons of the therapy roast grind, stick that in there, and then fill up whatever container it is with the coffee and just let it soak. So I'm letting my tea soak, I'm letting my coffee soak. If you go to the Gerson site, they'll show you the correct way to do it for Gerson therapy. Mine's an adapted way that I did without a stove. So that's soaking. I did my enemas with my tea and whatever else. I'm like, okay, it's time for my next one. So I have my coffee that's been soaking, and by this time, I usually let it soak for like an hour. And so by this time, with all the enemas and the preparation, it's generally been an hour. And so I would take my coffee, pour it through a strainer. So I used like a little regular strainer, and then I used a nut milk bag inside of that. Some people use a white t-shirt, like an old white t-shirt, something to just really make sure there's not coffee grinds in this coffee for the enemas. So then I have this pure coffee that I took from whatever I was soaking it in and pour it into my bucket through the strainer. So then I could know that this container is 8 cups, and I fill it up halfway, which is 4 cups. And that's how I fill my coffee. So 3 tablespoons of the coffee grinds, and then 4 cups of water. So I'd be fill it up to halfway with coffee, take this upstairs, and then go do my coffee enema. So I'd get it in, and I want to get all of it in at once and hold it for 15 minutes and then release. So the way that I can hold it for 15 minutes is to make sure I do the other enemas first to clean house. And also, it really helped me to have my music. I had like 4 songs that I listened to every day. And I knew, okay, I'm at the end of song 1, only 3 more songs to go. Okay, 2nd song, 3rd song, like, okay, I'm really getting there. I get through all 4 songs, okay, time to release. So I showed you the first position. Now for a coffee enema, it's done on the right side. And this is because there's certain blood vessels that the coffee goes into to go to the liver, to stimulate the bile duct to open, to release toxic junk from the liver through the bile duct into the intestines to come out, and also to stimulate the production of glutathione by like 600 to 700%, which is master detoxer in the body. So the coffee enemas, you lie on the right side for all that good stuff to happen for 15 minutes. So for this, I just got kind of, you can get a pillow. It's good to have a little bit of pillow here to keep the head elevated. When I do the enemas, I could feel it all over my body. And sometimes, some things, pathogens, I might want to go toward my head. I don't want them to go toward my head. I want them to go out of my body. So just keeping my head elevated, I found to be nice, and it was just more comfortable because I was lying on my side. So we got on our side, and this tubing, this applicator tip, you can put coconut oil on here to make it go in better. Now coconut oil, depending on the temperature of the house, is either solid or liquid. And so if you have a consistent temperature in your house, you can know whether to keep your coconut oil in the fridge or out. Now I lived in an RV that was fluctuating temperatures, and I was like, it was not helpful for me in getting the coconut oil to the right consistency. Sometimes I'd put it on there and it would just start dripping down because it was too liquid, and that was not helpful because then I had coconut oil everywhere. So I found somebody recommended doing coconut oil, just put it on your finger and put it straight onto your butt, and I found that to be the best way for me. So whether it's liquid or solid, doesn't matter. I can just get a little thing, stick it right onto the rectal opening, and then go ahead and put this in. So we insert, and then go ahead. This is probably too close. I'd probably move this away a little bit. So I got this inserted, and then I'll go ahead and release this slowly until I've had enough. Okay, that's enough. Clamp, and then go ahead and clip this back up there. Now this is not good positioning. I should have this closer so that I can, you know, usually I'd have it right over me, the cupboard, and so I could just clamp it up there, or, you know, with my hair clip onto my Enema Bucket. So just pretend it's up there. And then I'm just gonna lay here for 15 minutes. And the best ways I found to hold on to the enema are either to, I can raise my hand above my head, which I can't demonstrate very well here, but if the hand is raised up here, it sort of opens up the lungs to where it just helps me breathe deeper, and somehow it helps me to hold on to the enemas better when my hand is above there. It's not, because at some point, usually like 2 or 3 times during the enemas, there would be this feeling of urgency, like I have got to go to the bathroom now. So the way to get through it is breathe. So I got my hand above my head. It really helps with breathing. Just relax. And of course, you know, the butt is, you know, might be squeezing to hold on to, so I don't want to relax that, but just relaxing in general, just sort of breathing and watching my video and not thinking about having to go to the bathroom. Just, you know, I get through that minute and then it's good. Like I'm good to go for another however many minutes until an urge might come again. So in addition to having the head here, there are a couple positions that really helped with holding on to the enemas, and one is keeping my knees right in close to me. Now I, in my small bathroom, had a toilet right there, so I kind of rested my knees up against the base of the toilet. I mean, I cleaned the whole toilet very well to make sure I wasn't like touching nasty stuff, but just I kept my knees up there, and that really helped, because then I didn't have to be working to hold them in. You know, sometimes I would like maybe hold one leg in and put one leg straight out, which I can't demonstrate here, but it would be kind of like this. Because the other way to really help hold on to them is keeping the legs straight out. So I'm on my side with my legs straight out. And so that can really, either straight out or in close, we're both just a lot easier. And so then a combination of like maybe one leg up and one leg straight out, that was really nice. And then I didn't really have to work as hard trying to hold on to the enema. Now sometimes, let's say I was really like, okay, I'm really struggling to hold this right now, I might roll into a bridge position for like a minute and just like, okay, get down, get off of that area so there's no pressure there. Just get all the fluid out. Okay, I got through the urge. I'll go back to my right side. Technically, you're probably supposed to stay on your right side the entire time, but sometimes I did that just so that I didn't lose my coffee enema. And back to other positions, I had one person tell me, and I've done this myself too, that they would sort of walk their feet up the wall and, you know, go like that, trying to get the liquid as far down as possible. Some people turn from right to left side or stay on their left side. Coffee enema is always supposed to be on the right side. So those are some different positions for holding on to it. So basically getting through the urges, and then it's time to go relax. So, and you know, go relax on the toilet and get the stuff out. Now there were times like at first where I wasn't good at holding on. Maybe I would have a little bit of stuff leak out. But that was the great thing about having the absorbent pad underneath me. Like if it leaked out, it was okay. I just was like, well, I'm having some leak out right now, but I still want to hold on to this coffee enema. So I just let as much leak out as had to until it was like, okay, I can hold on to the rest. So that way I didn't completely waste my enema, like my coffee enema. Sometimes it was just like I had too much to eat before, and and it was just really hard to hold it. And so some leaked out, then I still got the benefit of most of the coffee. And, you know, because at first when I started to leak, I'm like, whoa, I got to go to the bathroom right now. I had some explosions all over the place. And because I found that once it started to, if it started to come out, sometimes it was like not good to try and get up and run to the bathroom right then, because it was already come out of me and I made a big mess. So I could like stay on my side and just wrap that absorbent pad around me to make sure nothing went off the edge, and just like, okay, until this is done doing what it's doing and I can sort of compose myself. Okay, I'm composed. Now I can get up and go to the bathroom, and that helped to prevent messes as well. So those are some of my holding on to the enemas tips. So basically what I learned with coffee enemas is that the first time of doing the coffee enema, it was, you know, in addition to helping with the detoxing, this certain type of acid that's in the coffee, as it circulated through the body, or as the blood that had the coffee in it circulated, I could feel it all over. I could feel how the pathogens did not like it. But it was sort of killing off a lot of pathogens as well. So the first day, when I checked what was in the toilet after my enema, it wasn't a lot of stuff. But the second day, there was a lot of worms that came out. And I continued to document. It was like, as I continued to clean house, continued to do the enemas, it was like I just started to increase. It just kept on getting more and more out, because I was continually opening that bile duct, letting the junk get out of there, washing out more and more and more parasites and whatever else was blocking, you know, my body from functioning, washing out. You know, I got out like candida and worms, and you know, sometimes the coffee enemas actually are used in place of like a liver flush to get out I don't know, like gallstones or kidney stones. Sometimes it has to do with if there's some fat taken in before the coffee enema, it can get out more stones. But I didn't do it on purpose, but sometimes I did do it around the time of eating fat, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of like stones that hadn't become hard. They were still like sort of in the softer state. They came out. So all kinds of stuff came out of me, and the more stuff that came out of me, the better I felt. And the symptoms all over my body were going away. And so I've mentioned in a lot of videos, but in my Gerson therapy video, I talked more about my story. But, you know, I started it because the doctors couldn't help me, and I didn't know why I felt like I was at death's door, and all the stuff in my body had shut down. And so the Lord led me to detoxing and parasite cleansing. And so the main thing for me was Gerson therapy. And so my digestion, you know, I had thought at that time that I needed to do IV nutrition, because there was debilitating pain with eating most food, and just the exhaustion and everything sort of shut down in my body. So when I started doing the Gerson therapy and this enema, so the combination of the other enema plus the coffee enema, and I did it once a day. Gerson therapy, they tend to do it more than once a day, but I just did it once a day. And it was like within, I mean, a couple of months, most of my symptoms were turned around, and I was really coming back to life. And I continued on because I'm like, well, if I've got all this junk in my body, let's just keep going till all the junk's out, because I keep seeing more stuff come out. And so I'm like, surely at some point it's going to end. But I had a lot of buildup. You know, I had an eating disorder for 15 years before. So I put a lot of crap into my body. And so I just kept getting better and better as I kept on detoxing. I have videos on parasite cleansing and detoxing. There's a lot of other methods that I use, but definitely the enemas were really one of the best. So I don't know what else to talk about with the enemas. I think I may have covered most of it. I mean, I guess I can tell you about cleaning it. I did tell you, you know, once it's finished, I go ahead and empty it. One of the things about switching from the first set of enemas to the second set was to make sure, let's say it got drained on the first set, and then when I put the coffee in there, there might be a big space of air before the coffee came out, because of, you know, it being empty when I put it in. So the tubing might have a lot of air in it. So I found that in between it was good, you know, for the next set to go ahead and, you know, open this up and let it run into the toilet to get out the last of what was in there before, and then get out all the air until I saw coffee coming out. Then I'd go ahead and clamp it. So then I knew I wasn't going to put a bunch of air up inside of me, which I didn't really want to do that. So just coffee. But then after the coffee was done, go ahead and you know, clean up my bathroom. And it's good with enemas to clean the toilet every time, because people you live with really are not a fan of seeing what the toilet looks like after enemas. Get everything cleaned up and clean this up. And so typically I just put some water in it and Castile soap, and vinegar is a good thing for cleaning if you have white vinegar. But I just sort of hold this above my head, and just because you want to let the water and the soap go through the tubing. So I just have to keep this high and then sort of let it run down till it came out. Put some more in, clean it, hold it up high, let it run down, let it run down, let it run down. Okay, and then go ahead and clean this and stick it in the vinegar and put it away. And I just usually let all this stuff sort of air dry. With the enema stuff, depending on what you're putting into it, you know, it can start to get some stuff inside the tubing, and what you can do for that is just clean this out with, I mean, you can clean it with vinegar. Some people clean with vinegar and then hang the tubing over like top of the shower. Some people take a cold shower afterwards, and because that's extra detox, or just any kind of shower, and then clean the tubing when they're in the shower and sort of hang it up in the shower. But let's say you have some accumulation in here, you can just get like maybe a gallon size Ziploc and fill it with vinegar and just sort of soak it for a while. And you know, we've used that a lot to get the junk out and make it smell better. And you know, the tubing lasts, I don't know if I ever had to replace the tubing. I did replace a couple of clamps, but the applicator, everything, you know, once you get it, you got it. If you want to buy an enema kit like this one, you just look online for an enema kit. If you want to get like a kit today, which is what I did, you know, drugstores like maybe CVS or Walgreens have, it's like an enema douche kit. Sometimes it's with the female area. There's some pharmacies that just have like a little bottle enema kit, which is it's not really helpful for this stuff. Some people use that. I know one friend who calls it a butt douche and just like sits on the toilet and uses that. But it's like it's like, okay, help me go to the bathroom. It's not the same as doing an enema and cleaning out the intestines. So this one, you can get like a bag. It's like, there's a pink one at most of those drugstores. I think Target carries a red one, but I don't think it's actually in their store. I think that's more like an order online. So, you know, just pray about where to get it from. There's different things spiritually, there's different places you might want to order from. But that's the main thing, is get the kit and get some coffee. And if you got a stove, you know, I've seen some people just made coffee in a coffee pot to do a Garson therapy. And it's not the, you know, correct protocol, but hey, it helped them. So it's like, for me, it was sort of like, I had to not be worried about doing things perfectly, because at that time I was like not really functioning at all. My husband was the one who prepared all the stuff and made it, and you know, I started to get into it as I started to get stronger and heal more. I got to where my brain could actually comprehend the process of doing an enema, and at that point I was just like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna worry about it being perfect, because if I worry about it being perfect, then I might not do it. And I'd rather get some benefit from doing it imperfectly than worry about perfection. And so that's kind of this approach that I take with most of the stuff in my life, is I'm not going to worry about perfection, because at least if I'm doing something, I'm making some progress forward. And that's what I want to do. I want to take a step, even if it's not perfect, because I don't want to let fear of, you know, not being perfect keep me from doing something that could really help me. And so maybe it might take longer if I do it imperfectly multiple times. That's okay. At least I'm doing something. So yeah, you got the kit and the coffee. You can do it however you feel led. You can do it the Gerson way, which is on the stove. And there's certain timing for everything. You know, my friend just used a coffee pot. I use a hot pot and let it soak. And then some kind of enema kit, a drugstore one or one of these, and basically get the fluid up the butt and let it clean house and go to the bathroom. I have found it helpful to have wet wipes. Wet wipes themselves, like for adults, are kind of expensive, but you can get baby wipes. And you can, you know, there's some like natural ones. It's probably not natural, but I have found them very helpful for cleaning myself up, just making sure everything's nice and clean, especially if I was doing a lot of wiping, like a lot of enemas, and I didn't want to get sore. I did have times where, you know, with all the wiping and maybe some of the pathogens that were coming out of me that were sort of uncomfortable in my rectal area, if I ever had any kind of discomfort that happened like in any of my private area or rectal area, then I found coconut oil. You just put it all on everything and it just made it better. So I did them every day and didn't have any problems like tearing anything. I know that there are some people who, there's a certain applicator tip that some people use. The Gerson site probably talks about it. Depending on, you know, the makeup of the body, it might be more important for some people than for others to use a certain length of the tip. I just use that small one. But you know, there's modifications for everybody is different, and you know, just find what works for you. You can experiment. When I did cleansing and detoxing, I just did a lot of experimentation, and that's how I learned everything. Oh, I learned for apple cider vinegar, I only do a little bit because of the, you know, I just have to go to the bathroom a lot faster if I'm using apple cider vinegar, and I use a lot of it. Oh, temperature with the warm water. Okay, so this heats it up to boiling. This was something, when my husband did it, he used the thermometer because it was my body, and he just chose to do consistently. If he used the thermometer, it was good. So he like made it like 100 degrees. So it was like warmer than body temperature, and it was comfortable. For me, when I prepared it, I would just like put in the warm water, and if it got too hot, I've used too hot water and I've used too cold water in my enemas. And so I just found, okay, that's very hot. I had to go very slow letting the fluid in. Or that's very cold, that was very uncomfortable, and it made it harder to hold on to. So if it's like warm, a good temperature, if it's not too hot and not too cold, it just makes it a lot easier and a lot more comfortable. And especially if it was cold outside, it made it really nice to have some warm stuff going into me, and just, you know, in addition to the space heater that I had blowing on my feet. But usually I would just put the warm stuff in there, and then I had like maybe a distilled water container on the sink, and if I needed to cool it down, maybe use some of that. Or, you know, if I really needed to cool it down because I put in way too much hot water, maybe I grab some coconut water out of the fridge. Just like, okay, that's cold. And so just, if I would just stick my finger in and be like, that feels good. It's like, it's warm, it's not hot, and it's not cold. So you just find a temperature that feels good to you. Like, okay, I would like that going into my body. That works. Like, my husband had like cold water that he kept in the fridge, and then the hot water. And so he got the temperature right with, you know, okay, I need to get some cold water out of the fridge. And, you know, you can be very analytical about it, or just kind of relax, you know, whatever works for you. So, happy enema-ing. I wish you all the best with cleaning out your body and all the wonderful results that come from clearing out the colon. I know that, you know, my friend has told me about some doctors who got rid of symptoms or conditions simply with enemas, simply colon cleansing. you know, maybe certain juices that helped with colon cleansing. And, you know, if at some point, let's say with enemas, like it's not convenient to do an enema or, you know, not working, another thing you can do is take like a spoonful of castor oil, and it's sort of an enema from the top down. And there's other, you know, there's other things that people use for an enema from the top down, but that's like one of the best is castor oil. So yeah, God bless you guys, and Lord, I just pray for your blessing on everyone watching, and help them to learn and grow and discover and experiment and lead their steps, lead them to resources that they need, and to spiritually good things that they can use for their enema process. I just ask you to clear away any fear that might be trying to hinder them from all the good that can come from doing enemas. I just had this come to mind. One of my friends didn't have any of this stuff for an enema and was like, I just am going to try it because, you know, there was a lot of pain going on. I said an enema would really help. So I got an enema kit and did it in the bathtub. Actually, I've had several friends do it in the bathtub because they're like, well, if I make a mess, at least it's in the bathtub, I could just turn on the shower and clean it out. And, you know, they had to, you know, I mean, guess that way the bathtub wall can help you keep your legs in like that. And some people continually did it in the bathtub. I mean, if you don't mind the size and it works for you, great. So whatever works. So yeah, keep your eyes on Jesus. God bless you, and check out the other videos if, you know, on parasite cleansing, detoxing, Gerson therapy. Those are all very related, and nutrition as well. So I will see you next time. Bye.